Don't come for me, bro. But it's time to talk about Snow White. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Clep Napier from WeAreCritics.com, and today we're here to talk about, breakdown, and review Disney Studios' Snow White. Yes, right, the live action adaptation to the 1930 something animated film that came out when most of us were very, 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 very young. I remember watching this movie growing up as a kid, but there were some things that I didn't remember about the actual storyline, so I had to revisit this in order to go watch this one because I wanted to make sure that I was doing a very, very accurate comparison and contrast versus the original going into the live action adaptation of this film. This film, directed by Mark Webb, the director of Amazing Spider-Man 2, who a lot of you know, Andrew Garfield, the Sony version of Spider-Man, is now directing this, which stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot as Snow White and the Evil Queen. You all know the story, ladies and gentlemen. The fairest of them all. The Evil Queen wants to know, is she the fairest of them all? She's jealous of Snow White. Snow White runs off into the woods, meets seven very, very fun individuals, I might say, and then some drama happens. You know, there's a poison apple in the mix. You guys know the story. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, what did I think about the live adaptation of Snow White? Okay, it is not without controversy. This film was already doomed since it was announced about a year ago. Rachel Zegler had said some unflattering things about the original story of this film. So, like I said, I had to go back and watch the original to kind of see if I can understand where she was coming from and what she meant by, you know, certain tropes as far as damsel in distress and Prince Charming's coming in, you know, to kind of save the day kind of thing. And ladies and gentlemen, I didn't find anything wrong with this new film. It's very much as magical as the original. A lot of people were digging at Rachel because of her comments, a lot of personal stuff because of things that Gal Gadot believes in and her things, and a lot of personal stuff that have absolutely nothing to do with the actual story of this film are really driving a negative response towards this film. So I want to kind of get rid of that stuff and just talk about the movie as a whole. The movie is very magical, as it was in the cartoon adaptation, which literally has zero to no dialogue whatsoever. If you go back and watch the original story, the original cartoon, there's little to no dialogue. It is all singing and all score and a lot of, you know, interpretation of what's happening in the story. It's very swift, very fast, and very quick. And then it's over, like in a blink of an eye, like the story's over with, and you kind of, you know, interpret the story as it goes along. It's still cute, it's very fun, very melatonin and very dry and very quiet type of movie. It's borderline silent filmish, if I might say. So watching this, you can see where they had to kind of build more of a narrative around the actual story. So a lot of it is going to feel as though this has nothing to do with the original story, because a lot of the storyline has to be created because there really wasn't anything to take from the original storyline. If you watch that cartoon, there's little to no dialogue. There's little to no depth within the characters. It's just what it is. A lot of pastel colors and a lot of score and a lot of singing, and that's all you get. So watching this film, the characters get fleshed out a little more. There's a little more characterization with the Evil Queen, with Snow White herself, with the seven dwarfs. And then there is a Prince Charming type of character, but he's not so much as a prince that comes in and saves the day. He's an average, everyday gentleman who Snow White really connects with in this story. Her character and who she portrays in this is very heartwarming and very relatable, and she kind of understands her position and what she as a person should do with her power, so to speak. I think they do a great job at kind of making this thing grounded without making it feel outlandish and making it feel woke, and kind of positioning her as someone who doesn't need a man, so to speak. Because a lot of people are worried about that. They're worried about this thing being something that's preachy and in your face. And by no means is it that at all. And when it does get to those points, it kind of points the finger at everyone and makes us all kind of look at ourselves, and it's very relatable from man to woman and woman to man. Like, I think they do a great job. Now I will say that if Rachel never made her comments the way that she did a year prior to the market and the rollout of this film, I think people would have taken this film a little bit more different than they did, because I saw exactly what she was saying, but it's not that in your face and that bold and that rude and that it's very inspiring and very relatable. I actually thought that it was cute. I think there's a lot of romance in this film overall, not just romantic love, but just romance and love for people and the people that she is to serve. And you get all of that. There's a lot of magic in this film, ladies and gentlemen, outside of the Snow White and the animals and the seven dwarfs, who are so charming in this film. Dopey is to die for. He is my absolute favorite dwarf in this film. Listen, when you're not loving him, and I say this in my out of the theater review, if you're not loving him, you are loving the music and the soundtrack from the gentlemen who are responsible for The Greatest Showman, the gentlemen who are responsible for Dear Evan Hansen. Like, the music in this, the original songs that they added into this, just throw the cherry on top of the classic songs that we already know. And they even redo those in a way where you can really just jam out to them and kind of have fun with them. They're fresh. They sound fresh and sound new. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Snow White is a delight. I mean, you can say what you want, people. You can have your opinions. It is okay. You don't have to love this film. You don't even have to love the actresses that are involved in this film. But you got to respect that they took our first princess and finally brought her to the screen in live action and did it justice. I don't hate this film. I had a great time watching this film, ladies and gentlemen. And I think a lot of kids will have fun watching this film. Remember, this stuff, it's not necessarily just meant for us as grown-ups and adults. They're doing this so that our children have something of their own to kind of grow up with the same way we did. And we don't have to understand it or connect with it, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of children are going to love this. There were kids in my screening, ladies and gentlemen, and they were screaming out and calling out things as they were seeing it and having a really good time. So let's try not to bash on this thing so much, especially since it's not really made for us. Let's keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm going to say about Snow White. I think the film is fun. It's great. It's magical. Just as magical as the original. Very colorful. The music, the singing, it's all on point. Beautifully done. The dwarfs don't look that bad on screen. Like, I feel like the trailers always dumb down what you actually get in the theaters. I think when you watch it in theaters, it'll grow on you a lot more. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this, ladies and gentlemen. Are you excited to see this film, or are you just checked out? Because if you're checked out, that's okay. Yeah, listen, you don't have to agree with people's views of life and their personal life. You don't have to love this. You don't have to support it. But I'm here to tell you that it is a good watch and it's worth the watch. I'm not being paid for this, I promise. Like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe. And for more movie news, television news, and pop culture, check out Snow White, March 21st. And I'll talk to you all later. Peace.